Welcome to another episode of... Let me retake that. There was a weird pause. Welcome to another episode of Are You Afraid of the Citizens? I'm Sean Malia Thompson.
I'm Tiffany Morris.
And we're going to be covering The Tale of the Twisted Claw on this episode, which is obviously riffing on The Tale of the Monkey's Paw. So let's get started.
It's not at all similar.
No, it isn't.
For the legal purposes.
No. It is, it's like instead of Sony, they've got like Kobe stuff. So this is like the Kobe version. Or the Sony, but with an E.
Right.
I do remember this episode. You said you don't remember this episode.
No, not at all. Which is crazy, because I know I've watched it.
Yeah, this is actually, it's funny. This and Laughing in the Dark are like the two I remember the most from when I was going to say when I first started watching it, but I think just in general, because I think the thing was I started watching maybe 11, so I didn't have that long before I sort of aged out of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Mm-hmm.
And then just went straight to like X-Files, I guess, at 12.
Yeah.
Which, geez, talk about a jump. That's like going from Skittles to black tar.
Yeah, I think that was my trajectory too.
Yeah, people are a generation. It's funny. The trajectory was like, it was interesting in that it went from like Goosebumps and like kid stuff to just like straight to Stephen King or like Clive Barker or just like hardcore shit. So like there was like a year of innocence and then it was just like, oh, it's all foul now.
Something about the psychic damage you get when you turn 12. Like, it just suddenly you're, Stephen King and the X-Files and all that cool
for some
stuff.
reason, 12 was like my big year for like getting into stuff. I think that was when I first watched, what was that? 1990. When did Scream come out? Was that 96?
96, yeah.
So let's see. I was born
95 or 96.
I was born in 84. So then 94 would have been 10. Yeah. So I think I watched Scream. Started reading Stephen King, had finished reading Goosebumps, and started watching The X-Files all in 1996, which is why it comes up so much in my work. That's why I said Goddamn Zombie in 1996, I think. Because I was just like, that was the year, like of all the shit.
Best Obviously, year ever, and everyone else is like, I guess, what?
Well, no, ironically, I don't think it was a very good year. I think it probably sucked, but I just mean like in terms of
pop culture wise.
I just mean in terms of like memorable shit, like that's sort of when it started for me.
Mm-hmm.
It could even be argued that it was just like a terrible year for me, so I started hyper-focusing on media, and that's why I remember it.
That's true.
But I'd love to tell you a black and white thing, but I think it was probably much more gray, and it was like good days, bad days, and hey, check this shit out.
I think it's also like you're prepping for junior high, so it's like you're kind of prepared to contend with more like adulty things rather than child things.
I think so, yeah, something like that. But anyway, very simple episode. We're following Dougie and Kevin on Mischief Night, which I think of as Devil's Night. They TP and egg a house or something, and it happens to be a witch's, and the door opens, and I think they run into her house.
Yeah.
Which is...
Or something.
That's a bit weird. That's a bit over the top.
They put, what, is it shaving cream or whipped cream on her face?
I don't remember. It's one of those, probably shaving cream.
They spray it in her face anyway, and she's like screaming, and I think she falls backwards and breaks a vase.
She does, yeah. So this is home invasion.
Again.
It was a different time. I guess we should probably start with the structure of the episode, though.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it's weird.
Yeah. It's like in the early days, I think they were still trying to like figure out like what are we going to do? The pilot didn't even have the theme in the beginning. So I think this one, though, is the first that I can recall that has like a fake out story.
Mm-hmm.
Where you start and it's like some kid and he's like, not again. And then there's like a ghoul or something that shows up and he wakes up and thinks it's a nightmare, turns, ghoul is still there. And then we cut to everyone going, oh, except for Betty Ann, who's a fucking freak, who goes like, oh, yeah. It's like, all right, keep it in your pants, Betty Ann.
I do
Um,
love how they do just like a ghoul draped in like a black drapery of some sort. Like that's effective to me.
it is effective. I do like that. There's also they're playing around with I forget which kid, but he's like, oh, I'm not done with the story, so like that's why it stops. Um,
Yeah.
I would argue that's probably the end if the kid's screaming at a ghoul, but um, so then they're like, well, we're almost done. We need a story. So otherwise, I'm going to call it. That's Gary, resident nerd. He's got to take the minutes.
Pretty officious, yeah.
Yeah, it's like your parents don't care you're out in the woods at midnight. I don't think they're going to give a shit about an extra 20 minutes. But so
They gotta follow the agenda,
they
damn it.
do. So David, what's funny is I always forget her name. So it's Betty Ann, but who's the other one?
Yeah.
um,
The other one.
Betty
Like on Teen
Ann.
Girl Squad. That's what I was doing there.
It's not. It's Kristen. Yes. Okay.
Oh,
Um.
yeah.
So Kristen is like, let David do one. He hasn't done one in a while, and we can actually know though now that we're adults and able to stream this. David had an episode. His was number 3. So
Yeah, that's true.
has it been
He
a
just did
while?
one.
Has it been a while, Kristen? I think it's been a week.
That's
Um,
because she got a locket from him or something.
well, I think what probably happened was they filmed them out of order.
Yeah.
And we're just like, yeah, you never know like which one was like this might have been the first one they filmed, and then they were like, oh, it doesn't work as the first episode, so let's do this other one instead.
Yeah.
Although the pilot does feel like they intentionally, because they're sort of establishing the Midnight Society, so maybe this was like, I don't know, earlier in or later, and they kind of moved it around.
Yeah. Either way, the fake out doesn't work for me.
No, of course not. It's weird, but I mean, I guess they're trying to establish the transitory nature of everything. Um, what's interesting, just briefly mentioning the 2019 series. Well, first of all, it's weird because they consider them seasons, but I'm like, they feel like mini movies to me or like mini series.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, it's like 2019 through blah blah blah, and there's like 4 seasons, and I'm like, that's weird. Because it's like not the same cast every time. It's like a different group of kids.
Right.
So there's like multiple Midnight Societies. But I did remember in the first season, the 2019 one, they sort of make the plot be like what's also happening to the Midnight Society kids. And it made me wonder how much of that was like they didn't think that like the old school version of like we're sitting around a campfire, and then when we cut to this other thing, everyone realizes it's a story. Like I'm sure kids would get it, but I don't know. For some reason they chose to sort of like make it more like the story is becoming real life and like affecting the Midnight Society kids. And obviously I prefer the original where it's just like about storytelling and like we're sitting around and now we're telling the story, and then it's now you're seeing what I'm telling basically.
It's interesting because I think maybe that's just like a reflection of how communication is different now. Like now you can have your friend's stories available anytime via your phone, whereas before you would have to like physically sit down and tell each other stories
Yeah, unless they wrote it down.
or talked on a physical.
I think it's more than that too, though. I think it's just that everybody's so like with social media and the rampant narcissism of that. That's just like permeated culture. It's like everyone is now like the main player in their own story, even if their story is a made up one.
Yep.
So suddenly it's like these kids, one of them tells a story, but then it's like they're all involved in the story. It wasn't bad. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just like it's like I'm going through the older 86 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and then hopping to like the newer ones. And there's just like something that's lost because I'm like, well, I like the old one. So that's always how I'm going to be, at least when it comes to that.
Yeah. They just do different things, I guess. And I don't know how much it resonated with the kids because I didn't really see anything much about it, but I also don't talk to a lot of teenagers, so I have no idea
Well, the thing
if
that
they liked the
confuses me
newer
too
things
is
or.
I'm like, was that for kids or was that for me? And if it was
Yeah,
for me, then just do what you did with the original. It's almost like they try to split the difference. And they're like, well, parents that watch the original show and then their kids will watch. But I don't, it's like kids just watch YouTube and shit now.
yeah,
So I don't know. But yeah, interesting episode. It's basically wishes gone wrong.
of course.
Um,
I have to say the witch does do a really great like 1989 Batman Joker cackle.
she does.
Like
She
yeah,
cackles. Yeah.
which is really deeply unnerving, I thought, after the kids run away and
No, it
having
is. It's unnerving. I
regular,
had
yeah.
mistakenly thought this was Nanny from last episode, but it is not.
Uh,
Although I think that actress ends up in a different episode. I just don't remember which.
Nanny, that wizened old hag.
I know. She's probably like 55.
Yeah, she's young.
Um,
But, kids think everyone is ancient.
yeah, it's true. So, yeah, there are things in this episode that creep me out. The main one, you would think it would be the dead grandpa coming back to life, but like that's pretty weak sauce because they don't show anything. It's just sort of like implied with like a car showing up. But the thing they actually do show is like, and I don't remember what the sequence is, but there's all these older kids that are probably teenagers in these sort of like, they're like vaguely Phantom of the Opera style masks. They're sort of like they only cover the eyes and the top of the cheeks, but then the mouth is still there. And the shots are just like these kind of spinning circular shots where the camera's like low, so you're in the perspective of the little kids. And just like they're like very menacing for what is essentially teenagers being like, give me your candy.
Yeah, it's really like their voices kind of warp and distort, and the fact
Yeah.
that it's from like a child's eye view was really interesting, I thought. Like it really increased the menace.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember it just creeped me out because it was just like, yeah, they go really hard. Like it's just like, we're gonna beat you up. Give us your candy. Candy's bad for kids. It's like, wow, calm down. But then I think it's supposed to be implied that they're like spirits or something.
Yeah, I mean, why else were their voices distorted unless it's just supposed to be like hyper subjective?
I don't know because they definitely mentioned like, well, I wished for that thing, and then the kids showed up. So I'm like, I don't know anymore. Like I think maybe one of them's like, I wish we were done trick or treating, and then
Oh,
and then
right.
they show up or something like that. So, but yeah, creepy.
What I don't like about these kinds of things is like I feel like by that age you've heard of the monkey's paw, if not have read the full story. Like it's a trope that's probably come up in the media you've watched
I mean,
before.
it's come up in the media, but like, I'll be honest, I didn't. Like, I probably knew it from The Simpsons.
Well, like I
Um,
feel like if you're a kid and you'd be like, "This is a monkey's paw situation. I'm not gonna do it." Then there wouldn't be an episode. But it's like I feel like
oh, in terms of actually doing it, yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like the
I mean,
scariest
I was like a
thing would be
terrible
the
child,
accidental
so
wishes.
who even knows? Who even knows what my weird wishes would have been? Would have been like a stack of woods porn. And it's just like, and then it's like so tall that it like crashes into my house and like there's roof damage or something.
Yeah.
Which is decidedly not as sinister as this episode, but although, can we talk about the whole exchange? I forget whether it was Dougie or Kevin, but one of them is like runs track, and he's like, I know what I'm gonna wish for, and he like looks over at, I don't even remember the kid's name now, but he's like
Bostitch.
Bostitch. He's like, I want Bostitch, and I'm like, okay, first of all, phrasing. Um, but it's basically like, I never win in track and I want to beat Bostitch. So he wishes it. Then the 600, wait, I don't remember, some run. And his friend is watching, and a dog runs out of nowhere and is clearly like only a few feet in front of this one kid, and he just like completely eats shit. Just like completely dives forward. Like, I don't know. I feel like if you're someone who runs like competitively, you're probably okay with people in motion or animals in motion around you, since that's all track is people running around you.
You just divert.
I guess maybe it's because it's like going across, but I don't know. Whatever. He eats shit and supposedly breaks his leg. Sure.
And the kid, Kevin and or Dougie, I don't know which one he is.
I think it's Kevin because I'm looking at the IMDb and it's got the non-hobo dressed kid is Dougie. So.
Oh, he was a hobo. Okay.
He was supposed to be a homeless man. Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, the fact he does that every year is a bit lazy, but.
And the other kid was Sherlock Holmes, right?
No. The other kid just wore a mask.
Oh.
There was one kid in like a mask,
Holmes
and then
the hobo.
No,
I had a really long day at work. I'm sorry.
No, you're thinking Sherlock Holmes because of the hat, but he's just supposed to be homeless.
It's kind of dapper for a homeless guy.
It is very dapper for a homeless guy. But yeah, so they I mean, understatement of the year, but not very long episode. They're 20 minutes. They're not very long. Which is funny though, because like later seasons, I feel like they sort of got the groove and like figured out how to make it, how to make them seem longer. Where these early ones, like, I mean, this one especially because they have the fake out that's like a couple minutes. It cuts into the runtime, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like pretty much. It's weird. You'd think it would all take place on Halloween, but it doesn't. It's like
no,
the day before Halloween, then the day of Halloween, then it's like the next day, and then I think the day after that. So it's like a 4-day. Yeah. It's like almost a week span.
October 30th to November 2nd.
Yeah, and they're just like chilling at I don't remember if it's Dougie or Kevin's house, but one of their houses, and their parents are out. And one of them makes some dumb wish about their parents, and they get a call from a cop that's like, "I'm sorry, your parents are dead." Which is like, wow, way harsh. Not even going to show up to tell them that? This sounds like something we can do over the phone.
Good luck, kid.
Yeah, your parents just died in a horrific car accident or something. I don't know. Anyway, stop by the station.
You can give her a call.
You can ID them, I guess. Whatever, bye. I get it's because they're trying to do like a sort of an otherworldly thing where it's like if it's only through the phone, it's a bit more transitory as compared to like if a cop came, and then it's harder to suspend disbelief because it's like, well, a cop already came there and whatever. And then at one point, one of them wishes, "I wish my grandfather was here," and then the big, "Oh no, my undead grandfather's showing up." I mean, it's for children, so it's hard to.
Yeah, I mean, that's spooky. I would be scared.
No, it's creepy.
If I accidentally wished a dead family member was back.
It's creepy. I debate whether, it's like whether I would have preferred to have seen something, because they just went the nothing route and just showed basically a car, like an old person's.
Oh, it was a hearse, right?
Was it a hearse? I never even pieced that together. I thought it was just like an old man's car.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Basically the same thing, right? But yeah, so then one of them finally wisens up and is like, "I wish this never happened." And Slade is wiped clean. They get a vase. I don't understand why the vase was delivered to them.
I guess it's just the witch being like, because it has the note that says "trick or treat," just like,
yeah, gotcha.
That was her mic drop moment.
Yeah, I think logically, if you think it through, it's like, wouldn't she want that vase though? She had it at the front of her house, and she's just sort of like giving it away as like a gotcha.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it'll fall apart as soon as they touch it.
Maybe.
That
I
would be
don't. I
creepy.
mean, I don't know. You were saying you don't even think it's the same vase. I wasn't paying attention enough to know, but
I thought it wasn't, but I rewound it, and where I got confused was once it broke, the
oh,
blue was a lot more apparent in it, so I thought it was an all blue vase.
oh, it's a weird vase for a witch. You'd think it'd be spookier, but it looks more like white and blue and sort of like kind of standard garden center vase.
Yeah, one of those like fake Chinese ones.
Yeah, it couldn't have cost much to replace.
No,
I
I
bet she's
mean
not a witch at
it's a
all, and
prop
she
from Are
just
You
went
Afraid of the
and
Dark.
bought one.
It's not a Ming vase, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in theory, the fun thing is, if you really think about it, there's not really anything other than maybe the call that his parents died that's supernatural. You know what I mean? It's like a dog ran in front of a kid, some teenagers menaced you for candy, and then a random car that used to either a hearse or a car you associate with your grandfather showed up in front of your house.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean,
like,
no wonder I didn't remember this episode.
right, they can all be written off as just like not being magical. It's just the only one that sort of can't is a cop literally calling, being like, your parents are dead.
And he didn't have something that he won at the race anymore. Was it a medal? He had in
Oh,
his
yeah,
pocket or
he won a
something?
medal, I guess. And he no longer had it, but like you could easily just be like, he lost it.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it's also supposed to be like, I think it's supposed to be when they're looking outside from their perspective, they do see the grandfather or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Maybe it's, I mean,
Didn't
it's
have the budget to hire another actor.
right. It's not done the best, but like, I think the implication is that they like, they sense or at least they see or at least sense that the dead grandfather's showing up
Right.
because they do freak out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an early episode. I like it better than Tale of the Bitchy Cousin, whatever the last one was.
Yeah.
The Tale of the Lonely Ghost. That was it.
Yeah. It's
Um,
not at its best yet, but you can see that it's still pretty good. Like it's very much for kids in a way that's not condescending to them, which has always been the great strength.
yeah, I'm excited for when we get further in and they go real crazy. Like they go even farther away from like very simple sort of like the monkey's paw or like it. And they start going with like it's a spaceship and or like it's a giant arcade game that's a mall.
Yeah, I love those.
And that's like there is nothing this is standing in for. Y'all just went nuts.
Oh, this episode also stands out because it has a dad.
Right. We were gonna start making a running tally of dads. So this is dad one.
Number one, dad.
This is Yeah, one dad. So we'll have to, if I remember, we'll have to keep track because, like, I really don't think there's that many dads that show up. It's a very,
No,
like, Disney type thing where just there are no dads.
yeah, just single moms or aunts that you're staying with for the summer.
Yeah, so what's the next episode? It looks like that's weird. It's The Tale of the Hungry Hounds.
Ugh, I think I hated that one. Is that one with like the British something?
No, it's like, well, maybe. Do you mean fox hunting?
Yeah,
Yeah. The only thing
yeah,
I
that's what
remember
it is.
from it is like, Mein Petit Rouge. And there's like, this lady gets possessed or something. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
Oh
I was
shit.
looking at the IMDb expecting to see a child's face for one of the actresses, and it's just like some lady with her legs out. I'm like, wow, okay. But it's like, yeah, I mean, she's a grown adult now. That makes sense. But it's
Oh
just sort
man,
of
there's
looking through like, oh, okay, that's not what I thought. Oh, she's actually been in stuff. That's funny. It
yeah.
is really weird when they actually go on to do stuff. Cause
Oh, Mia Kirshner. Yeah, she's in the L Word.
yeah,
She played crazy
just
Jenny Schechter.
she plays Pam in the next one. But I'm pretty sure there isn't a dad. Cause it's like I
Yeah,
think they
no.
meet I think it's another scenario where it's like blah 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 was dropped off for the summer, and with her aunt, and then her cousin who was. Sorry, I'm just gonna wait until the. Can you hear the sirens?
No.
Okay. Um. Okay, whatever. They calm down now. I never know if that. I don't think it even shows up, but it's like I can hear it and then it throws me off.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we'll have to have a running dad tally.
Dad tally.
So we got one.
The episode after that is the Tale to Super Specs too, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, it's weird that they all. For some reason, I had remembered Tale of the Hungry Hounds as being like much later.
Yeah.
But it
seemed
isn't.
like a late one.
So yeah, I guess it's the next one.
There's some really great episodes the rest of the season too.
Yeah. Unlike Tales from the... I don't actually, to be fair, I don't know about Tales from the Dark Side. They might get better.
I guess we should get back to that at some point.
If only just to be completist and finish season 1. And then have like a final, like, this fucking sucks episode. I don't know.
Sorry, guys that are slightly older
Sorry,
than us.
80s kids,
like
but this is terrible. But yeah, so I guess that's going to wrap it up. Till next time, I'm Sean Maley Thompson.
And I'm Tiffany Morris.
And, touch, tilt, scream.
Bye.